Good morning. Today, 26th August 2024. We are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. First article here. Recently, Justice Hema Committee had submitted report on film industry, how women have been subjected to harassment, even sexual exploitation also. This article discussed from women empowerment point of view, even at workplace ethical values, what are all things need to be followed to maintain dignity of the women. We discuss this article in detail. Justice Hema Committee report that was released by Kerala government on this August 19, 2024. This ignited a debate on the issues faced by women in Malayalam film industry. Committee Justice Hema Committee was formed in 2017. They had submitted report to government in 2019. A redacted version means the simplified version of this report. Now it has been put up into public domain. Though this report mainly addresses issues faced by women in vernacular films, those are local films, suppose say Telugu industry, Tamil industry, Kannada industry, Malayalam industry, even you can say Bollywood, Hindi industry also. But issues faced by women can transcend across the boundaries. In 2017, we have seen Me Too movement wherein women from film industry had come forward and then they had reported that they had become victims of this violence. Broadly, if we speak about the report deal with two things. First is sexual exploitation of assault against the women in cinema. Report goes on to say women are often required to exchange sexual favors for opportunities. Even those women who refuse to cooperate, they will be sidelined from the industry at the instance of those powerful men. There are certain families who rules the industry, they will sideline basically. Second is there are discriminatory policies followed against women, and then even lack of basic facilities are also there. Report even facilitated there is a long overdue discussion on lack of gender equality for women at the workplace. The brutal incident recently happened in Kolkata, very unfortunate incident, again reinforces there is a need for this conversation. Whenever some work-life balance should be there for women and work-life ethics need to be maintained. Sexual exploitation, harassment, molestation, all these things are happening, so these things need to be taken care of. There is a culture of assault. If you see in the Hema Committee report, these concerns raised are very disturbing, but they are not surprising. We are facing every day in India. They are the extension of problems what women face in our society. Our society is very conservative, patriarchal. Women are burdened by several stereotypes, and then we even dictate women to accept they have to behave in certain ways. This is very problematic because this is equal to sexual assault on women in isolations. If you see the same way, rape must not be considered only as a crime. It is acceptation of the society that it is becoming the norm in the society. Even there is a strong approach is there to sexual assault on women. This often what it does, it distracts attention from the reality whatever happening. There are several issues women are facing. Those issues have been discussed outside of the realm. You can see ranging from what we can dictate women, they have to wear these kind of dresses, even they should have these kind of friends, even their individual choice also have been dictated by men. So these kind of issues will put women on huge pressure. Even if the rape is crudest manifestation of this approach, then this will hurt their autonomy and dignity. The normalization of objectification and gender stereotypes, this has become a central role in perpetuating sexual assault against women. If we see whether sexual assaults against women are growing in India, according to National Crime Record Bureau, NCRB, in 2022, they reported that 31,516 cases of rape have been reported. These are just reported cases. See, there could be many number of cases which couldn't have been reported, or those things could have been solved at gram or panchayat level through caste system or whatever it may be. That means there is a rape for every 16 minutes in India. So this workplace harassment is another reflection of this culture of assault. There is a famous Supreme Court verdict guideline is there, Vishaka guidelines. Basically, these guidelines, this case gave rise to stopping workplace harassment of women. Famous case, remember this one, Vishaka and ORS versus State of Rajasthan and ORS, 1997. There was a writ petition filed to enforce rights of working women against sexual harassment. There was series of several guidelines prescribed by Supreme Court to prevent workplace harassment. These included, duties of the employer to prevent assault, as well as a constitution of complaint redress mechanism for aggrieved person. After 16 years, legislature has been enacted Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. There is a notable feature in this legislation. They constituted internal complaints committee. Those who had agreed or those who had faced sexual assault at workplace, they can complain within the internal complaint committee. There is even a workplace definition. One broad area we can consider, even film industry is included as a workplace as per section 2.0 under this Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act. Even the Justice Hema Committee report, they indicated this internal complaint committee is not suitable for women in the film industry. Why? Because they argued there is a likelihood of abuser, even employer, they are influencing internal complaints committee. You can see from your side, those people, those director, even producers who has muscle power, they can influence anyone, they can bribe anyone, they can control the decision making authority. Therefore, committee told there should be independent forum constituted by government to deal with problem faced by women in cinema. But there is a problem that this internal complaint committee faces, but it is not unique to this industry. If we include additional safeguard of accountability that could help the problem, but this suggestion completely overlooks what author says is this suggestion forming another independent forum by government, it just overlooks the complaint redress mechanism formulated by parliamentary legislation. Even there are registration of crimes. Many question the lack of registration of crimes pursuant to the committee report. Investigation is not initiated. Even the accused cannot be brought to justice. The concern is very sensible. Report is modified version of which redacted the names of survivors, even culprits also. They have redacted, basically, they have changed in simplified manner. You cannot put those who have been survivors, those who have been culprits, you cannot put until they have proven guilty. Masking their names of the survivors is done in recognition to principle of the survivor anonymity. This is a well accepted norm in criminal jurisprudence on sexual assault. Those, suppose say any case, so their anonymity will be maintained. This anonymity will remain intact during the investigation, even prosecution as well. There is one famous case, Nipun Saxena versus Union of India in 2018. Supreme Court told importance of penalization for disclosure of the name and identity of the survivors of sexual offence, and it is included in the section 228A of the Indian Penal Code. But even recently also, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, section 72-73 also included. Since these provisions are substantially same, the ratio of the judgment in Nipun Saxena versus Union of India, this would govern the field. In this judgment, Supreme Court told the object of provision of this provision is to protect the survivor from hostile discrimination, even future harassment also. You can consider our society, people basically, the name and shame. When name and shame, such things are happen, everyone wants to live with dignity. When such people are known already sexually assaulted, they could face again issues from the society. This is law of the land in the country. The Kerala government must take proactive role in the matter after sensitizing itself in the manner. So they have to maintain the anonymity of the people, and then they have to take law in the land, and then Kerala government need to go. Even there is a famous case, Puttaswamy versus Union of India, Article 21. The privacy became integral part of Article 21, that is the right to life. So their anonymity need to be maintained. They have right to decide whether to pursue criminal case, whether lie with the victim. It is true in our criminal justice system, state initiates prosecution against the accused. This argument and conducting case on behalf of the victim. But if victim cannot cooperate, but state cannot do anything, they won't get any justice or they can't do anything also. That's why survivors are often, they are reluctant to pursue complaints in case of sexual assault. This is very important also to recognize. A society that looks survivors of sexual assault with misguided empathy, even disgust also, instead of we supporting them, trusting them, even we are not taking a moral standard to demand that survivor must be necessarily launch complaint. We all share collective responsibility for manufacturing the status quo. Moreover, trials in the sexual assault cases also takes years to complete. We already discussed it several times. High courts and Supreme Courts are facing 4 to 5 crores pending cases. This will take another 30 to 40 years in solving all the cases. Keeping all these things in mind, Hema committee was formed after sexual assault allegation against leading Malayalam cinema actor. The trial is not yet completed. Survivor, she is also fear of this potential retaliation from abuser and others in terms of like they may refuse her to give the work, or they can brand her as a problem maker and then she may completely lose her employment also. These are very sensitive issues. Kerala government should take these issues in conscience and then need to solve the problems. But what is the solution? What is the structural reforms that we need to bring? There was an accusation in 2017 against Harvey Weinstein. He was an American film producer. It eventually led to a famous Me Too movement that recognized global attention. These findings of the Hema Committee report also come for same such structural reforms. This should give government to take effective lead in bringing work safety rules. Recent Kolkata incident also, whatever happened there, this also raises a unique concern that we need to take care of women at workplace. Difficulties faced by women in the industry, particularly those who come from lower strata, those who have talent but lower support. So they deserve this acknowledgement. From this lack of adequate sanitation facility to this hostile bias, every issue needs comprehensive study and resolution. More importantly, this report will accelerate India's women's struggle against workplace discrimination by equipping women with emboldened awareness. Next article we will discuss about new age gateway devices. See, the latest health threat. Recent time, tobacco government across the world, they are in one way stopping tobacco consumption, but there is a growth of e-nicotine content, e-nicotine, e-cigarette. So they are, misguiding youth, stating that these are good for health or you can consume if you want to de-addict yourself. These are new threat that is happening. This article discussed about this thing in detail. Sometimes what is portrayed as a health alternative that will become dangerous than original. This is the problem with what is happening with the new age gateway devices. There are several things. E-cigarettes are there, vaping pens, electronic nicotine delivery system, ENDS, hot not burn devices, even other tobacco related products also. All these devices, they were portrayed, how they are being depicted. They are healthier alternative to smoking. That would make easier to quit tobacco. If you use these devices, you can quit tobacco. But the reality is quite different. Instead of they helping us to quit tobacco consumption, they are causing huge public health crisis. They cause physical harm, even affecting mental health of the children. There is a new pandemic growing. Instead of helping people quit tobacco, the manufacturer of these new age gateway devices, they discovered a lucrative market, basically children's. This led to surge in youth vaping, creating new pandemic. According to Center for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2023, e-cigarettes were almost commonly used by tobacco product in middle and high school students in United States. Almost 21 lakh students using e-cigarettes, including 5.5 lakhs middle school students. You can see middle school 6 to 10th. These devices are getting new generation hooked on nicotine, even exposing them to potential long-term health consequences also. Children, they have been lured into this trying and becoming addicted to e-cigarette, even these vaping devices, through the targeted marketing of flavors. They say these e-cigarettes and vaping devices include strawberry flavors, cotton candy, pop rocks, even lemonade. These are the alleged predatory marketing tactics. They want to increase their revenue. There are mental health issues and the negative effects of excessive technology. We are driving some children toward these devices. There are several psychology factors also affecting children. They basically operate on children on two levels. First, first thing, children are increasingly they are becoming susceptible to these new age devices from early age. What was once adolescent concern, above 18 years at that time, children's and then adolescent, they used to consume cigarettes for now it's almost 10 to 20 years old. They are like the demography is changing very newer, and then they are becoming very highly vulnerable. There is a colorable imagery created by these new age gateway devices that suggest the product will bring happiness. They elevate one's social status in the lives of the targeted children. In their eagerness to fit in, children often prioritize peer preference over their own. They lead them to embrace vaping and other harmful behavior also. Those who vape are more likely to experience feeling of loneliness. They become socially isolated when compared to other people who don't consume them. There is these psychological factor. What they will do, this will make troubling to children. They will be drawn more close to these electronic devices such as vapes and e-cigarettes. Even this is very gateway to danger also. The second most aspect how they impact psychologically is these habits will have physical and mental well-being of the children. Physical impacts, they will damage the lung. They spread the e-cigarettes or vaping devices associated injury, EVALI, and they have become. We also need to shine a spotlight on mental impact of children due to this new age gateway device. If you see, there is a study carried out by Australian Institute of Family Studies. This is a Australian government statutory body. They said that evidence indicates vaping has negative effect on people who use these e-cigarettes. With increasing rates of e-cigarette usage in Australia, even worldwide also, such new age gateway devices, they are associated with mental health challenges, depressive symptoms, anxiety, perceived stress, even suicide related behaviors among the adolescents. Key risk factor, they include like friends' positive attitudes towards vaping, parental smoking. E-cigarettes, they have highly addictive, particularly individual up to the age of 25. This is a developmental stage that makes them to even more vulnerable to structural and chemical changes induced by this nicotine addiction. One addiction takes root. Once you start addicting to these things, it increases the likelihood of developing other substance use disorders in later life, creating this cycle. So you will be addicted, you will be taking other substances such as drugs and all. So you will be revolving in the same cycle until your life get completely spoiled. Why these new age devices are causing huge concern, even more addiction also. There were several surveys found out. In JAMA Network Open, this is a medical journal published by American Medical Association. They told they surveyed 150,000 respondents. The more adolescent e-cigarette user reported using their first tobacco product within 5 minutes of waking up. Whenever they start waking up, they started using this e-cigarettes. That means they are being addicted. Even study told these e-cigarettes are highly engineered drug delivery designs. They are designed to create and sustain the addiction. There were several designs have come in e-cigarettes. Several versions are there. After 2015, they started delivering very efficiently with the nicotine content. There is a benzoic acid to the nicotine that produces protonated nicotine. What it will do? It enhances the addictive potential by making easier for user to inhale significant amount of nicotine. right? This increases heightened addiction and increases mental dependency on these devices. These new age gateway devices are also being used for experiment with harder substances such as cannabis and even cocaine and heroin also. Many children, teenagers, even parents mistakenly believe vaping only involves harmless water vapor and pleasant flavors. But there is a in reality it is very dangerous than what they are thinking. So we need to stop this substance abuse. This is very good article related to this. That's it. This article is about. Even in India case also, e-cigarettes are growing day by day. People are consuming. So there are several health effects are there. They are yet to discover. But government must come up with policy. They even need to stop these things also. The next article is about person with disability. How we need to invest in person with disabilities. Recently, you might have seen Hindu movie Srikanta. It was main protagonist Rajkumar Rao. This story basically tells about there is an industrialist Srikant Bola. He overcome his journey of visual impairment. Basically, people of Srikant's father from their village, they tells that don't invest in your son's education or don't invest in his life general. Because he is physically, visually impaired, you cannot make any return out of him. Even if you go in rural areas, even if you go across the India, many parents of children with some form of disability, they believe that they are not worthy of investment, right? Person with disability, they face social stigma, marginalization in all sectors, even discrimination at education and employment also. They struggle for dignity. Education institutions lack necessary infrastructure, even support mechanisms. Workplaces lack robust diversity policies, that give proper representation to person with disability. One area I will tell you. Suppose say you are going to school. You are a person with disability. Let us suppose I am a person with disability. I am going to school. What I need? Everyone can climb the steps and then go there. But when a person with disability comes, it becomes very difficult for him to climb. Then what you need to do? You need to provide something kind of ramp, or you need to provide the lift so that it can help the person with disability in managing the task very easily. Such a kind of infrastructure is lacking. Even government institution also, some of the institution, some education and jobs we see. In 2023, Nifty 50, these are stock market company, group of 50 companies. They reveal that only 5 out of these 50 companies have more than 1% of person with disability on their payrolls. With 4 among 5 companies, 4 are being public sector. Basically public sector, there will be obligation they have to take. If you take one company, they are just following. Rest 45 companies, they are not even following person with disability their rights. Similarly, if you take data from the National Center for Promotion of Employment for disabled people, it tells that less than 1% of India's education institutions they are disabled friendly. Even shocking figure is that less than 40% of school buildings they have ramps. Even 17% have accessible restroom also. Even there is a report by Sarthak Educational Trust titling accessibility and inclusion in higher education in India. These reports tell reservation is provided under Rights of Person with Disability Act 2016 in government jobs. There are even incentives in non-government job also. But there is a huge concerning issue. There is a clear lack of implementation. They are not at all implementing. This lack of infrastructure combined with lack of inclusive policies, this prevents full participation of person with disabilities in society. But therefore, this is very important for both public and private institution to invest in person with disability, and we need to uplift their lives. It doesn't mean they don't work. They are blessed people. They can work very well. They live with their dignity. So if you can really utilize them, so they can create wonders. Indian education system, it needs an inclusive framework to promote a person with disability. If you see Harvard University, United States of America, they have local disability coordinator. What they will do, they have specialized specialization in helping person with disability to find the accommodation in the city. Similarly, if you take Stanford University in United States, they have robust institutional structures that include providing support in housing and devices to person with disability. Even it has comprehensive resource center that supports students with disability. There are very few Indian universities that provide such a impressive models. Shiv Nadar University in 2023 they told even they included disability support policy that include providing personalized support to students on case by case basis depending upon students health condition every semester. Based on the nature and severity of this disability, the Dean of Academics decides measures for academic accommodation, even Dean of Students for other aspects also. But these measures are not institutionalized across India, across our universities. They are not uniform. They leave a lot number of students from these backgrounds outside the walls of this university. Despite University Grant Commission regulatory authority that drives universities grants accreditation and all, they draft accessibility and inclusivity guidelines for a higher education institution to ensure admission announcements and advertisements are circulated in accessible formats. The presence of PWD is not very increasing. Very less representation is there. Even if you take employment case also, there is a legislative mandate to providing reservation for person with disability, even drafting equal opportunity policy dealing with measures proposed by establishing to ensure inclusive work environment and prohibit discrimination at workplace. Employers, those who employ person with disability, they fail to do this. There is an effective implementation for effective implementation of all these rules. State government must come forward. They develop compliance mechanism. They have to do for developing compliance mechanism. They have to do the audits in perfect manner. When audits are done, they will follow. But these audits shouldn't be, bribe based. If you take some of the countries, Brazil, we can follow one example from Brazil. In Brazil, there is a law where whenever a company employs more than 100 people, they must have person with disability at least 2 to 5% of the workforce. Suppose say 100% employees are there, there must be at least 2 to 5 people in the workforce. In case of non-compliance, the company will be subjected to so many fines based upon the criteria and size. There will be, if number of offences are repeated, the fine will keep on increasing. Even some countries also developed incentive mechanism. For instance, Japan, they have developed a system of subsidiaries for employees who has some form of disability. Now author talks about person with disability required dignity. There is a British artist, David Hayway. He once told the history of portrayal of disabled people is the history of oppressive and negative representation. This means whenever we say that disabled people have been represented in socially flawed, able-bodied minded people, not as disabled people with their own identity. Basically, we should not, when we degrade our humanity, basically persons with disability, we are basically degrading ourselves, able-bodied people. We should not make such a derogatory comments. Identity of this person with disability, they have eroded in several ways. They are considered many by pitiful, even helpless also. We don't consider them as helpful. Many believe that a person with disability can only be relationship with one another. Disability in addition to belonging lower caste, this will create a double triple burden on the people. Remember, even if you add women to the concept, then it will become a huge issue. Even sociologist Colin Bones, they argued that PWDs, they are portrayed as objects of pity, violence, curiosity, even ridicule also. They are become burdens of society, sexually abnormal. Overall, they are people incapable of community participation. This kind of portrayal forms basis for societal attitudes toward this person with disability. Even recently in India, 3 former cricketers they mocked a person with disability in a video that went viral in India after they winning World Championship legends. So everyday struggles and stigmatization, mockery of person with disability, they reveal inability to so-called able-bodied people to treat them equal with dignity. Even Abhishek Anika in his book, The Grammar of My Body, many people say, whenever say, like you see person with disability, they tell that person with disability, they are very angry people. They are very angry not because they are really angry, just because these able-bodied people, those who have good hands, good coordination, good eyes, but bad sort of making comments, bad sort of mouth itching, these people should be avoided. That's why they are very angry. That's what person with disability says. We should not make any derogatory comments against person with disability. At least if we cannot help them, we should maintain the dignity. They are also fellow human beings. We need to help them. Just because they are born in this fashion, it doesn't mean they cannot do anything. They are blessed people. They have history repeats. History has told us they have created many wonders. Same will happen with these people. We need to support them. This is the article about today. This much only. Thank you very much for your discussion.